BB-8, do you have a question? Oh. Hello everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the creative director here at Bubblegum Cartoons, and today I'm going to be answering your questions. I want to thank everyone on the Cartoonomino app for asking me all these questions. I got so many that I'm actually going to have to cut this up into a part 1 and 2, so please stay tuned next week for the second half of all the answers. And without further ado, let's get started. So today in our Q&A, I'm going to start off with the questions that I was asked the most. So this was asked by many of you guys, so I'm not going to put a name to them because a lot of you want to know these. So here we go. What does it take to be a professional animator? And this is a very good question. It takes a lot of patience. It's one of the most tedious art forms. You need a lot of passion and self-drive, because it's a really tough business to get into, so you really have to be really, proactive and finding, these jobs and these opportunities for yourself. You also have to be very multi-skilled. Animation does just about everything. You do like background painting, the actual animation, coloring, even story. You need all of these skills to bring them together and make the very best piece you can make. This was a very frequently asked question, and you guys asked me, where did you get the concept for Demonic Crepes? And Demonic Crepes is our original web series here at Bubblegum Cartoons. The first episode's all animated, and we're still in post-production. Will be posted very soon, I hope. And so the concept for this show kind of came from this joke that all cats are demons, they're just knocking things down and just evil. How they peek around corners and they're always watching you? So the joke was that they're all demons, and then it turned into a single panel comic that I would just draw in my notebooks during class. And from there I really loved the Pancake character at the time, and I was like, his environment's not that interesting, and the girl or the family that has him is not very interesting, so I wanted to flesh them out. And then that just totally snowballed into what's the most exciting place, and I'm like, Tokyo, I love Tokyo. I studied there, and I made Sophie much more interesting, and then it snowballed into, hey, I have a graphic novel final for my class in senior year, and I'm like, okay, I'll turn into a graphic novel, go from a comic to graphic novel. And I liked it so much from there that after we founded Bubblegum Cartoons and we thought, what's our first project? I said that I wanted to make a show I always wished was on TV. And so from there, Demonic Crepes even transformed even further and became like a magical girl kind of cartoon, which I didn't even expect from the beginning, but I'm like, you know what? I'm making my very own cartoon. I don't have censors and I don't have anyone telling me what to do. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna make it super extra adorable. I'm gonna make it magical. I'm gonna make it be about friendship and tragedy and, fighting monsters and all those fun tropes I've always loved since I was a kid. The next question I have is, what cartoons or anime influenced my style? So particularly for Demonic Crepes, I was really inspired by Totally Spies, and you're gonna hear me say this a lot in this video. It was one of my favorite shows growing up. It really inspired me to come out to California and live a fabulous life and stuff. But I love the color palette. I remember seeing the scene in the school, and the walls were pink and purple, and I'm like, what do the male students think about this? And it's like, it doesn't matter, because this world is beautiful and it's lush and it's girly and it's 70s and it's so wonderful. And I was thinking about that when I was designing Shibuya, the cityscape, and I was like, this is so boring. It's the same blocky buildings, it's all gray. And then it snapped at me, like, you know what? All these buildings are pastel, and it made me so much happier. The clouds are curly, and I just made this whole scene my own, and that's what really makes it, my show. I was also inspired by Star vs. the Forces of Evil because, like me, they have the aesthetic of creepy and cute together. So, it's even in the title of Demonic Crepes. It's sweet and it's creepy, and that's exactly what I wanted for the show. And also, of course, Studio Ghibli filmed. You can really see this in this one scene in the pilot episode where she's running on her balcony for the very first time, and she just kind of holds on to the edge, and she kind of teeters over just a little too much, and it's like a million store drop for her, and that was kind of inspired by all those kind of like precarious scenes from Ghibli films, like when Patsu and Shita first get to, you know, the castle in the sky, and they're hugging and they're swinging each other around, and they kind of go almost like off a cliff. And I loved those like weird precarious things that kind of make you go, oh my god. So I liked that kind of stuff, so I incorporate that in my animation as well. What were your favorite cartoons growing up as a kid? And I had a lot of favorite cartoons. I really loved Arthur when I was really young. That was really fun. I loved Totally Spies. I loved Shaolin Showdown. I loved Teen Titans, Kim Possible, things with, you know, super action-y teenagers that, you know, were really go-getters in defeating evil, but also, you know, complex social situations really, you know, entertained me as a kid. This is a really fun and exciting question. You guys asked me if I was gonna release any Demonic Crepes merchandise, and yeah, I would love to. Right now, I'm just, you know, kind of working on some handmade crafty kind of things like keychains and all that kind of stuff, but eventually, yeah, I want to do t-shirts, or I want to, you know, have Sophie's apron from, you know, the creperie and stuff like that. I would love to do all sorts of things, t-shirts, bed sheets. I would like everything to have Pancake Space on it, basically. Alright, now on to the regular questions. Bubbles asked me, from Star versus the Forces of Evil, do you ship Star and Tom or Star and Marco? And while I know that, you know, Star and Marco are endgame and they're, you know, supposed to be with each other, I have a lot more fun watching Tom and Star together. But Dara Nefsi herself said that Tom was made from all the qualities of all her ex-boyfriends. So I mean, they're not created to last or anything, but they're a lot more fun to watch. What do you think about Evil Morty from Rick and Morty? I love Evil Morty. I'm really excited to see his dastardly plans. At your other art job, what do you draw the most? And I draw a lot of Lilo and Stitch, Carl and Ellie from Up, as well as my very favorite, Ariel. My next question is, for Demonic Crepes, would you consider a Blu-ray or DVD release? And definitely, I would love to. I mean, once we're way down the line, I would love to do maybe even like art books from it, or, you know, do a lot of behind the scenes, because this is really what this channel is all about, is showing you behind the scenes and how shows are made. So I would love to do a DVD or Blu-ray release. JC the second asked, would you turn Demonic Crepes into a comic? And like I said, it started off as a comic. However, I would definitely want to go back in and, you know, redo it. It was a final, so like a little under pressure. You know, we're all improving. It's not my favorite, but you can actually check it out on the website, bubblegumcartoons.com. We actually have it uploaded there, so I would definitely like to go back in and tweak it and publish it once more for, you know, for purchase for all you guys. Zilla Universe asked me, have you seen Steven Universe and what do you think? And I have seen Steven Universe, and while initially I was super enchanted and I loved how progressive the show is, the filler episodes are really killing me. Have you seen Godzilla films? No, but I'm very familiar with the concept. Which Nintendo game is your favorite? And I definitely have to say Animal Crossing. Which cartoon should get a comic book? Most of my favorite cartoons already have comic books, but I will have to say Totally Spies. Pinky Cartoons asked me, what are your favorite cartoons? And there's a lot, so get ready. So my favorite modern cartoons are, of course, Gravity Falls, Rick and Morty, Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Over the Garden Wall, and Bob's Burgers. Okay, next up, Checkers asked me, I want to get into animation, where do you suggest I start? And the great thing about getting into animation nowadays is we have Instagram, we have Tumblr. Find someone you really identify with or you really admire, and don't copy them or strive to be them, but strive to be the best version of yourself and take inspiration from them. And start with the basics, you know, on paper, hand-drawn. Don't just jump to computer. Find your personal style and aesthetics. It'll take a lot of practice, but really be your genuine self. I found that once I started making art that I wanted to see, it made me happy and stopped doing what I thought people wanted to see. People responded so much better and I was so much happier. So do what makes you happy and start with the basics. Gummy Garla asks, do you know where you want Demonic Crepes to go, and do you know how it will end? Yes, I have a very good idea of how many like seasons I want. I know the overall arc, I know a lot of, you know, the twists that are going to happen throughout the show, and I do know who is going to die. And yes, someone's going to die. or at least a couple somebodies. We'll have to see. Which web series inspired you? And I don't watch many web series, but I really loved Bee and Puppycat. The moment I saw it, I was like, this looks exactly like something I would have made. Like the aesthetics was so close. You know, just the story was very different than something I would write myself. I don't really watch any other ones. I like Bravest Warriors. I mean, Catbug's really cute, and I really like Beth. What animation studio other than Disney would you like to work at? And I would love to work at Cartoon Network or Leica Animation or Aardman Studios. I can really tell that Demonic Crepes is inspired by magical girls. What are your favorite magical girls? So growing up, I loved watching magical animes. My favorite was Tokyo Mew Mew, and I loved Mew Ichigo. And then I also really loved Sailor Moon, like my all-time favorite. It's how I met my best friend. I love Sailor Moon, Chibiusa, and Sailor Mars. Jackaroni asks me, how old was I when I founded Bubblegum Cartoons? And I was 23 when we launched in June 2017. However, we already were in the works of making Bubblegum Cartoons for about a year before it launched. Actually, just a year before it launched. So I was 22 when I founded Bubblegum Cartoons. And I have been animating since 2012, and I've been drawing my entire life. How long does it take to animate? And this really depends. It's a very loaded question. It really depends on your project. So for Lights Out, my thesis film, it took me 1 year to make it, which is it's about 6 minutes long. But I did this while I was a full-time student, so I had other classes, I had essays to do, I had other animation projects to do, and I was applying for jobs and internships and stuff like that. So that did take me about a year, including post-production and editing and stuff like that. The animated short Brook Springs took me 3 months. It was the summer after I graduated college. And the first pilot episode of Demonic Crepes took me 8 months to animate, including storyboarding. And I did this while having a full-time job as well. Is it hard to get into the animation field? And yes, it is very difficult, but when in doubt, work on your portfolio, make friends, and hire yourself. 404 JPEG has asked me, did you learn a lot since doing Demonic Crepes? And yes, as cheesy as it sounds, every scene I animate, I feel like I learn something new. I'm always challenged by, something brand new that I haven't dealt with before. There's many layers. This thing has to move in the background, and this is between that layer. And this person needs to jump, and there's squash and stretch, but also maintain size. I always learn something new, or something I can improve on. So with every little scene I animate, I feel like I get a little better. Ooh, do you have any spooky ghost stories? And I do. I don't have many, but this is a ghost story that someone told me. If you don't know, I basically live in Disneyland, and I actually got the opportunity to do a backstage tour of the Haunted Mansion. And our tour guide, our ghost host, told us about when he first started. There's this cast member that was kind of odd. He didn't talk very much. When they were bumping each other out, which is, he was doing, unloading people, and he's like, oh, hey man, you're taking over, I gotta go on my break. And they have a flashlight to make sure people don't trip. And so he puts down his flashlight, and then he turns around, and the guy's gone. And he's like, what? It was so weird. He was here a second ago. And this happened a couple times, and then he asked another one of the ghost hosts or Haunted Mansion maids, and he was like, so this guy with the mustache, and he saw his name tag, and I don't remember his name, I think it was Nick or John or something, and he's like, this cast member totally flaked on me, he was supposed to bump me out, and I don't know what happened. And they said, John died 5 years ago. And they're like, what? He's like, yeah, I wasn't in the Haunted Mansion, it was after he had left. And sometimes people still see his ghost here. And I thought that was really freaky because he had never met or heard of this person, yet he knew all the descriptions, and the cast member has asked for the description. He gave it completely. So yeah, kind of bone-chilling, kind of weird. There's also a cat ghost in the Haunted Mansion, and if he likes you, you'll feel him rubbing up against your leg. Alright everyone, that's all the time we have for our Q&A this week. Make sure you tune in next week for the second half of this amazing Q&A. We're going to talk about Demonic Crepes, what to expect next, and all that sort of stuff. Will we do a movie? Who knows? So make sure you tune in next week, and future Lilli will probably link it somewhere around here in the future. Alright, and make sure you guys are subscribed so you can see the premiere of Demonic Craves, and I'm also currently working on the second promotional trailer, so expect fun things in the future, and until next time, stay inspired.